I'm Tom.
And I'm Oz.
And we are hosting a wine tasting for the WineAlive Summer Sipping series.
And if you see some smoke drifting behind my head, that's because now we're heading for barbecue wines.
So Oz, we've been here. We've done the well-trodden path of barbecues. We've done it together. I love it. It doesn't have to be red wines, does it? There's a whole option.
The whole point about barbecues is it's not just the food. It's the state of mind you're in. It's the friendships you've got. It's the pleasure and the joy and the happiness you want to have during a day. So what is the one wine that you need when you're desperate to be happy?
Classique.
Got it.
It's got to be.
Got it.
So I agree with you. I think barbecues are the occasion where all of that worry that so many people have about selecting exactly the right wine or perhaps pairing something absolutely exactly, it can go out the window. This is about, broad, ballpark, just about landed about right, wine styles. Fizz. When it comes to fizz, this is something that people are having on arrival.
There should only be one person who is in any way nervous at a barbecue, and that's the poor person who's having to try and do the barbecuing.
Exactly.
I have never quite got it right.
Have you not?
Never quite, and I just don't know why I can't quite get it right. But everybody else should be in a mood of relaxation, excitement, friendship, and fun.
Exactly.
And the best way to get that moving is just what you're doing at the moment.
And I think, one of the biggest challenges is keeping the blooming thing chilled, isn't it?
Keep it chilled.
There we go.
Now,
how do we
chilled.
do this?
This is dead easy. Just follow this simple rule. You get a few cans and, I tell you what I do at home, put it in the bath, but you get a container which you half fill with water, and then you shove ice in with the water, and you put all your bottles in that. And it is 10 times more effective than ice by itself.
Yeah, the ice on its own thing doesn't work. There's no contact between the glass and the bottle.
Ice and water. It's the quickest possible way to get the wine down to a really cold temperature and keep it there.
If you want it to be extra cold, or if you've forgotten to chill it completely, salt. That's the other thing. Salt speeds up the chilling process dramatically.
Makes the water even colder.
Exactly that. So look, that's the crucial bit, isn't it? Get it nice and cold. But what are we drinking? This is Kaapse Vonkel by Simonsig. How was that? Come on.
Too bad.
I got a bit of in there, didn't I?
There's several S's and you got them all right.
I got all of them. Surgey's on the Kaapse Vonkel. And there's you've got to get a bit guttural with it. So
what are we talking?
We're talking Western Cape, South Africa, centred around Stellenbosch, but we're dealing with fruit here that will come from Robertson, slightly further inland.
The most important thing we're talking about.
Traditional method fizz.
Called
Kaapse Classique.
Well done.
I was going
Kaapse
with
Classique, the best value, good quality fizz on the market. Kaapse Classique. Now that means it's made by the great, let's call it the classic method or the traditional method. You call it the champagne method if you want, because that's what they've been doing in Champagne for a couple of 100 years, which means all the bubbles, all the fizz is created by a second fermentation in this actual bottle, not in a great big tank in a factory. In this actual bottle, they make the wine ferment for a second time. They've got a cork stuck in the top there. All the carbon dioxide gets created. It can't go anywhere. It all dissolves in the bottle and just waits for the moment that you say, now I'm ready for a glass of fizz. 100%. Out comes the cork and in it goes into your glass. Tiny, tiny bubbles, which last for ages if the wine is kept nice and cool. Cheers.
It's exactly it. Cheers. And people don't think, when people think South Africa, they don't think cooler climate, leaner, fresher, lighter styles of wine. But there's a bunch of different criteria and characteristics that South Africa holds, where it is deceptively chilly. If you go swimming off the coast, of Cape Town,
I've done it.
Freezing. You've got the Benguela current coming up from Antarctica, chilling down that water. Yeah. You've got the Cape Doctor, big coastal winds and breezes blowing through the whole time. You've got altitude, you've got hills, and the further up you go, the cooler it becomes. So all of those factors give you a surprisingly cool climate.
Yeah, because the Cape area is actually, all the vineyard areas in the Cape are quite close to the sea.
Absolutely.
And so long as you're close to the sea, inny heat, which happens further inland, is going to drag in the icy cold water, which is sitting on top of this, the icy cold air, which is sitting on top of this water that's come up that morning from the Antarctic.
Exactly
and
that.
It's very cold.
And the Bright Spark who did this, actually, you know, the first version of this is the first sparkling wine made in the Cape in the traditional method, Kaapse Vonkel, which literally means Cape Sparkle.
Yeah.
In Afrikaans. And it was a chap called Frans Malan, and his son is the winemaker today on site, but it was in 1971 that this was first produced, which is, you know, to give it context, is, you know, to be fair, 300 years, give or take, or 250 years after it was done in Champagne, but it was a good 20 years before Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, the grapes that are in this, were planted in England, which is a very well-established sparkling region now. So really mature 55-year-old sparkling wine industry.
And the guy just came back from Europe and said, okay, I want to make sparkling wine. And he was one of these people who's a great innovator. All I can think is that he had lots of bottles of champagne when he was over in Europe and said, why can't we do it? Well, technically you couldn't do it. You haven't got the right grape varieties, you haven't got the right soil, you haven't got the right climate. But he said, I can deal with all of that. And when you work at it, South Africa has got areas which are cool enough. It has got really limestoney soils which are great for things like Chardonnay to grow on. And now, of course, it's got Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, the three great champagne grapes. It's got them.
Yeah,
you can do it.
Absolutely. And what I love about this is it's got all of that tension, it's got that freshness, it's got the celebration, everything that you want from a great sparkling wine. But the price point is incredible. These are still some of the best value wines that you can buy in the sparkling category anywhere in the world. Now,
and one more thing, it's just a bit softer in the mouth because you get a lot of sunshine down in South Africa. So that fruit is just a little softer than it will be from somewhere like Champagne.
Can I interest you in something a little darker, sir?
Can I throw this away?
Thing, please. Right. Flick it over your shoulder. There he goes. Nice.
Talk about it. Hey, Barossa.
Barossa. You know Barossa. You see, this is it.
Barossa.
We're back in Oz Clarke territory.
You absolutely are, because the Barossa Valley in Australia is enormously important to me and to all Brits, because Barossa Valley Shiraz is what taught Britain how to drink red wine. I don't know whether any of you can remember the days, I'm sure some of you can, of Penfolds Bin 28. That used to be sold in places like Odd Bins. And before Penfolds Bin 28, Barossa Valley Shiraz came along. Wine in England, red wine, was thin and sour and bitter, and goodness knows why anybody drank it. And then the Australians turned up and says, hey, this is nice, you know, this is nice and sunny and rich and full of fruit and full of spice, and it's called Shiraz, and it comes from the Barossa Valley. You're going to like this. Like it, we loved it. An entire generation, I'd include myself in that, were turned on to red wine drinking by Barossa Valley Shiraz. And luckily, now there's a lot more of it than there used to be then, and it's just as good as it was.
It's epic. So where are we talking? We're talking South Australia. We're talking north of Adelaide. A great day trip if you're spending time in Adelaide. And you drive out and you drive up into the Barossa. You gain a bit of altitude. There's a warm valley floor. There's beautiful vineyards either side. Quite high diurnals, the difference between daytime and nighttime temperature. So you get hot days, ripe fruit, very cold nights.
Diurnals.
Holding it together. I like a diurnal.
He likes a diurnal.
You can't have decent wine chat without decent diurnals, I'm telling you.
You'll be talking about malolactic fermentation.
I'm not going to go anywhere near malolactic fermentation. How dare you? Now, this is Château Tanunda, and so this is an enormously historic wine business. So 1847, I think, something like that.
1890 that they started this.
Yeah.
1843 was when the people arrived from and they're Germans.
And have still got vines. So this thing on the estate here, they have some of the oldest vines in the world that are still producing to today. From the 1840s.
Some of the most historic wine vines in the world. You think, oh, they'll be in France or Italy or, I don't know, in Mesopotamia.
Exactly.
No, they're not.
No.
They're in funny old Australia,
Yeah.
which 180 years ago, in 1843, a bunch of refugees, religious refugees, came out from Germany holding their vines close to their chests, came to the Barossa Valley, which was sort of given to them by the government and planted their vines. And now, 180 years later, they still speak this wonderful guttural noise called Barossa Deutsch. It's a fantastic racket they make. Now, you can still go into some of the small towns in the Barossa Valley and you see cafes with Kuchen and Torte and selling wursts, sausages hanging in strings, and the girls have got dirndls in their hair.
He's going to say lederhosen.
I'm going to say lederhosen because a few of the guys actually wear lederhosen. And they have umpar bands. You sit there in the evening sun with a glass of Barossa Shiraz and you hear an umpar band coming over the square from the other side of the square, and you could be in southern Germany.
I can't think of anything worse. This is it. No, it sounds glorious.
It sounds glorious. Especially when you've got a great fistful of wurst in your hand.
That's what we're after, a fistful of wurst.
Now, that would go well with this, wouldn't it?
It would go very well. So, back to barbecues. Sausage on the barbecue. This would go well. I think what's so nice about Barossa Shiraz is you've got power, you've got heft, you've got bright, big, black, bold fruit. But you've also got freshness, you've got juiciness, you've got crunchy sort of elements to it. These are delicious. There's a lot of oak going on. It's beautifully balanced, but there's 18 months worth of American and a bit of French oak going on in there. And with the sort of smokiness and the kind of, char elements that you get with a barbecue, I don't mind it. I like it a lot.
I think there's one thing that you haven't yet mentioned, although knowing you, I'm sure you will. Drinkability. The Australians don't lose sight of the fact that they like to drink in Australia, and they make wines that they want us to like to drink. And that's why this works. That's why Barossa, this is a 14.5% alcohol wine, but you could easily knock it back.
I am. Yeah. Exactly that. Exactly.
It doesn't hit you hard. You talk about oak barrel aging, but they've done it properly.
Yeah.
It's just one just says they've been making this kind of wine. Well, Château Tanunda have been making this wine. They won their first gold medal in 1901 at the British Empire show in London. They won a gold medal for this. They've been making it long enough. They actually know that this kind of style of rich fruit and depth and drinkability is what makes us love Barossa, and this is a good example.
And they know a barbecue when they know, that's a thing. It's a thing. It's a big deal. So, one more?
Yeah, one more.
Come on.
Make it different.
Ditch that. Let's go. We have got, finally, I've got to use my bottle opener for this one. We're going back to South Africa.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're not going to Stellenbosch. We're not going to Robertson. We're not going to the regions we've been in before. We're going Elgin.
Now this is a fascinating place because Elgin is a much cooler, cloudier area than most of South Africa. Now you drive out of Cape Town and you run right the way across False Bay, and then you go up a windy, thin road going zigzagging up to a thing called Sir Lowry's Pass. And by the way, if you dare stop, you turn over and see the greatest view of South Africa and Table Mountain you can ever find. But I would say you don't dare stop. You virtually go over the top of Sir Lowry's Pass and the cloud starts. And you look behind you and it's solid sunshine. Over into Elgin, suddenly it's 10 degrees colder and you're in an area which is the great apple producing area of South Africa. Now that's all those Granny Smiths that you used to eat in the old
sign,
days,
isn't it?
probably
That's
from
it.
Elgin.
Exactly.
It's a good sign because apples need cool conditions. Now the apples fight with grapes for which is going to be the most important production. But Elgin has got something really special in its favour. Cloud cover in a very hot country. This is the second most southerly of all the Elgin vineyards. It's right down towards the cliffs, and you can see the clouds bobbling and curling over the cliffs just a few kilometres south of these vineyards. And you know that over that cliff is the Southern Ocean that heads right the way down to Antarctic, just a few kilometres away.
It's amazing. And the brand, so this is a producer called Oneiric, and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon, so you get a lot of that beautiful, big, bright, bold Cabernet fruit, lovely little, green tinge around the outside of it, that capsicum sort of thing. But there's a lot of snuggly Merlot in there as well. There's a third of this wine is Merlot. It's a big hug in a glass, really. And there's a decade of age going on.
It's 10 years old. I think that thing you said about that slight greenness is really important.
Desperately.
Because a lot of Cabernet Sauvignons have, in the last 10 or 15 years, have been made too big, too rich, too dense. Cabernet Sauvignon is a maritime grape. It likes the conditions that come in off the sea. And I think you can taste that here.
Yeah.
The seasides give little green hints in the wine. This has got green hints, which I think are an absolute delight.
100%. And there's a Bordeaux inspiration here, right? In the sense that you've got Cabernet, you've got lovely Merlot. But what I really like about this, it's a decade old, this bottle of wine. It's fresh as a daisy. It's got powerful, bright, bold fruit moving through it. There is lovely, gentle maturity, but it's not overwhelmingly so. It's taut.
It's had 8 years in its bottle.
Isn't that incredible?
It's called Oneiric. Now, discover that Oneiric means of or concerning or related to dreams. And the word Oneiric was used in the New York Times last year 6 times.
How did you pick that up? How did you? Do you know what? You could make that up, couldn't you? So who's checking that? Who's?
Nobody is checking that.
Honestly.
And of course, Copper Jack, the family who make this are copper miners.
Yeah.
They've made their money over the generations as miners. And what's it called? Cousin Jack.
Yeah.
Cousin Jack means a copper miner or a miner who came out from Cornwall.
100%.
They were called the Cornish miners, who were the most famous miners in the world a couple
world
hundred years
gold
ago.
standard.
Yep.
This was a thing.
They were called Cousin Jacks. And by the way, the Cornish miners brought rugby to South Africa.
Come on.
And I suspect to Australia and New Zealand as well.
I still
Cousin
blame
Jack.
them. Exactly.
I had an Uncle Jack.
Did you have an Uncle Jack?
I had an Uncle Jack.
Come on. This is where we fade out, isn't it?
This is because he wasn't a rugby player, and he never went to South Africa.
There you go.
And he wasn't a miner.
But he would
and
have
he
liked
didn't
this
come
wine.
from Cornwall.
He would have loved this.
He'd have loved this
Come
wine.
on.
Yes. Great
There's some barbecue
red.
tips.
Cheers.
Lovely. Enjoy your summer. This is just one of our WineAlive Summer Sipping series videos with Clarke and me, Tom Surgey. If you'd like to know more about the wines we've tasted, head over to our blog at wine-alive.com and check out our other videos. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And thanks again for watching. We hope you sip splendidly this summer.